Welcome back, everybody, to another amazing episode of Challenge Accepted.
Each time, me and Austin accept the craziest, the most insane, and the most ridiculous challenges ever. So what's our challenge for today?
Let's take a look at the card. Today's challenge is called Higher Lower. For this challenge, different sized containers will be filled with objects. You must correctly guess the number of objects in the container within the allotted range. If your guess falls out of the accepted range, you must spin the punishment wheel.
The punishment wheel, what's that?
It's a spinning wheel with all these crazy things listed. Whatever the wheel lands on, that's your penalty.
What? Wait, but what if it's a gross penalty?
Well, you better guess correctly so you don't get one.
Okay, well how bad are they? Because if it's anything gross and like I have to
I
eat...
just read the card. I don't know how bad they get. You know that.
Okay, well, what kind of containers are we talking? Is it a little
I
box?
just said, I just read the card. You know we don't get this information. The card doesn't say, let's just do it. Come on.
You know what? I'm down for it all.
Let's do this thing.
Higher, lower?
Challenge accepted.
Yo, look at this wheel. It is so cool.
Yeah, can we just spin it for
Wait,
fun?
wait, don't spin it, because if you spin it, you have to do the punishment.
You're right. Good call. Good call. All right, let's look at what's in our first container. Ooh, some beads.
A jar of beads.
Yeah.
All right, well,
Remember, we don't have to do it exactly. We just have to get in the allotted range, which is, for this one, 50.
50, okay.
Okay.
Well, I'm thinking looks can be deceiving. So I'm thinking there's some micro beads in there that are so small, we can't even see them. So I'm gonna say there's about 3,688 in there.
Yeah, I say 230.
230?
230.
Let's look.
What's the answer? I got it right. Well, within the range.
Does that mean I have to spin?
Yeah, it does. Come on, bro. Got it. Think about it. It's fun to spin.
Banana brain.
Banana brain. You're probably wondering what that is. Banana brain. I get to take this banana and smash it right into his head. So let's get on with it.
Wait, I'm allergic to bananas.
No, you're not.
I am.
All right, ready?
No, please.
Just gonna relish in this.
Well, I officially have a banana brain. All right, next round we have our jar, but let's see. It says we have to be within 100
Okay.
of the range.
Let's see what it is. Oh, it's pennies.
It's pennies,
Well, we
okay.
gotta be within 100. What's your guess?
My guess, I'm gonna say 650.
Oh. No, I'm bench press, so. This is nothing. This is nothing. It's light. It's gotta be like 200.
200?
200.
Okay, let's find out what it is.
Oh.
I won! Which means you gotta spin, man. Go ahead, spin that wheel. Let's see what you get.
That's a good spin.
All right, Austin landed on mustard mustache, which means I get to take this mustard and put a beautiful mustache on his face.
This is so dumb. Can I at least get a hot dog?
No, you cannot get a hot dog. You ready?
Don't put too much. I don't want to smell my cigarette.
Woo! Uh-oh. There you go. Put your head forward. Let's see it.
It's falling. What is this? Whose idea was this? This is so dumb.
From the looks
We
of it,
need new producers.
it looks beautiful. All right, next round. Let's see what the card says for this one.
We got it.
We gotta be within 50.
No problemo, bro.
This looks like a big jar.
Just don't overshoot it like you did last time.
Okay, jar of marbles, you know. Big jar. You know what? I'm gonna say there's about 400 in there.
Big jar. I see different size marbles inside. But, you know, I'll say 1,000.
1,000?
1,000.
1,000?
1,000.
Oh, wait. Well, let's see what the score says.
is. I got it.
You were only off by a little bit.
Hey, spin the wheel, man. Come on.
PB&J face. Dude, but I only missed it by just a little bit. I mean, does that little bit even matter?
Oh, they matter, all right. Look, the small things totally matter. In today's Bible story, we'll hear about a family and how God cared about the small things in their life.
Okay, well, I think it's time we go get that peanut butter and jelly stuff.
You just made my day.
Once upon a time in Israel, the land was suffering from a great drought and the people were in deep distress. Elisha, a prophet of God, traveled from village to village, encouraging the people and spreading God's word. One day he came to a small village where he met a poor widow. This widow was in great despair because her husband had died, and she had nothing left. Her children were crying from hunger, and the only thing she possessed was a small jar of oil. The widow ran to Elisha and cried out,
"Oh, man of God, please help me. My creditors are coming to take my children because I cannot pay my debts."
Elisha, moved by her sorrow, replied,
"Tell me, what do you have in your house?"
"Nothing.
The widow said sadly.
Only a small jar of oil."
Elisha smiled and said,
"Go, gather as many empty jars as you can find from all your neighbors. Then go into your house, close the door behind you and your children, and pour the oil into all these jars."
The widow hesitated for a moment, but then did as Elisha had told her. She and her children went from house to house, asking their neighbors for empty jars. Some neighbors were skeptical, others were helpful, and soon they had collected many jars. Back in her small house, the widow closed the door just as Elisha had said. As the widow began to pour the oil from her small jar into the first empty jar, something amazing happened. The oil kept flowing and did not stop. The widow and her children watched in amazement as each jar was filled to the brim, one after the other. They filled jar after jar, and still the oil did not run out. Finally, the widow said to her son,
"Bring me another jar."
but he replied.
There are no more jars left.
Then, and only then, did the oil stop flowing. The widow, filled with joy and wonder, ran back to Elisha to tell him what had happened. Elisha smiled when he heard the widow's story and said,
"Go, sell the oil and pay your debts. You and your children can live on what is left."
With the money from the oil, the widow paid off her debts and was able to buy food for her family. They were no longer hungry, and they were safe from the creditors. The widow and her children were filled with gratitude, knowing that God had provided for them in their time of need. This story teaches us that God provides for those who trust in Him, even in the most desperate times. When we have faith and follow God's guidance, He can turn our smallest blessings into something great and abundant.
Our last round. Now that I finally got all that peanut butter and jelly off my face, let's see what this jar is.
Alrighty, let's do this.
Ooh, that's a lot of little army men. Let's see what our range is.
Yikes! We have to be within
One?
one army man.
Say what?
We can only be off by one.
Okay.
Okay, let's see.
You know, the small things really do matter. Okay, you know what? I'm gonna guess 24 army men.
Okay, we can only be off by one. If you go with 24, it's either win or lose. So I'll go with 22.
Let's see what the correct answer is.
23! That means both our guesses are
That
good.
means we both win! You know what, Austin? The more we started examining the containers, the better we got at knowing the amounts.
We're practically professional object in container guessers now.
Sure, let's go with that. Also, thinking about these small items in these containers really makes me think about today's Bible story.
What do you mean?
Well, the widow and her sons had some pretty big debts.
Okay.
Because of this, the sons were about to be sold as slaves to pay off the debts. But God cared about the family and told them to collect as many jars as they could. God used one small little jar of oil to fill the jars of the entire neighborhood.
I wish God cared about me like He did that family.
Are you kidding me, Austin? God totally cares about you. He cares about everything in your life.
Well, I know He cares about the big stuff, but the small stuff.
Listen, God cares about the big stuff just as much as He cares about the small little details.
For real. God cares about the tiny little things?
Absolutely. If there's one thing to remember today, it's this. God cares about everything in my life. It doesn't matter how big or how small it is, God cares.
This week, our challenge to you is to call a friend, neighbor, or grandparent and ask them to list ways they have seen God care for them. Maybe God healed them from a sickness or provided during a tough time.
Or maybe, God helped them with something small, like finding a missing shoe. Listen to their stories and then thank God for caring about every single detail in your life.
Well, that's all the time we have today. But we'll see you next time here at Challenge Accepted.